Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Health with Natalie Cuomo. I am so excited for today's guest, comedian Chloe Radcliffe.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I have to say, I was, watching your set last night. I was watching your Comedy Central set.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So I was so happy watching it.
Thank you so much.
I was having the best time.
Thank you. I had such a great time in that taping, in no small part because, I had told myself all day, I had prepped for the taping and I was like really ready for it or felt really ready for it. And then all day I was like, just don't be in your head, because if you're in your head, then it'll be bad. Then you won't be present and then it'll be bad. But like the worst way to not be in your head is by just being like, don't get out of your head. Like, there's no way to do that. And truly, like 2 minutes before I was about to go on, I was like, just don't be in your head. Just don't be in your head. Just don't be in your head. And then the host, we all like had our own microphones because it was COVID time.
Right.
And so I was just holding my little microphone backstage. And so I didn't have to get it from the host basically. And so I just was standing there and thought that he said, it was Artie Fuqua, and he's a comic in New York. And Artie was doing a great job hosting. And I thought that he said my name. And so we were in the wings and I walked out on stage. He had not yet said my name. I have no idea what he was saying. He was just like, hey, you guys having a good time? We're going to keep going. It's great. We're having a real nice whatever. Maybe he was like riffing on the comic's previous set. I just like confidently walked out, got a third of the way out, realized that it wasn't happening. No. Went like, and like sort of slunk back behind into the wings, but half of the crowd could see.
Yeah.
And so then 10 seconds later, I'm just standing there like, what the fuck is happening? And half the crowd saw, and 10 seconds later he goes, and now give it up for Chloe Radcliffe. And I came on, and he just like walked past me and was like, have fun. And I came on and I'm like laughing, crying. And I said to the half that could see, I was like, did you see that happen? And I've never watched 300 people nod simultaneously. And everybody was like, yeah, absolutely. And so I just like spent the first 30 seconds. They cut it out of the tape.
Okay.
But the tape starts with me kind of like laughing like a maniac. And it's because I've just come off of 30 seconds of being like, what the fuck?
That's so
happened?
Funny.
Like, I just fucked up, but in this way that like just put me in such a fun mood.
Oh my God. Did you think they were going to cut it out of the tape?
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense.
Right.
There's no, without having
seen the
I guess they could put out like a blooper.
The whole thing, yeah.
If they put out a blooper of me, because they for sure have it on camera.
Yeah.
I should ask them if they have that as a
Oh
blooper.
my God. I love that. I had so much fun. I feel like one thing I've been thinking about in my own stand-up is like, the whole thing that like you're really critical about, me personally in my head is like, are you writing enough? Are you writing enough? And I feel like I've been so focused on that like I am not focused enough about like having fun on stage.
Yeah.
Like yesterday I like got feedback from my agent about my set, and she's like, your material is really great. I don't have any notes on that. It's just, you just need to be like, just try to have more fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And like I was watching your set and I was like, you are having the most fun.
Thank you.
And I loved it, and I was having fun watching you, and it was really cool.
Thank you. It's also fun because at a taping like that, where it's not an audition, like when you've already gotten the thing,
Yeah.
at that point then you're sort of like, well, now it's gravy. Like,
Right.
if I massively fuck up, they can cut it. And there was one other thing that they cut, not a joke, but I like said some line. I don't remember what it was, but I like made some little comment about whatever bit I was doing. That's not a joke. That's just a riff. And it was like, I don't think it was unfunny, but it wasn't a joke.
Yeah.
And so they just cut that out, and like
That's
you don't
cool.
even notice it.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing where it's like, at this point, you're like, now you're just like rolling down the hill and you can just have a great time.
So I honestly have just started thinking about this, but do you have any like pre-show rituals?
I don't. I have better sets when I am prepared, like when I have a set list, when I know exactly or like at least what I want to work on, like maybe it's like there's 8 bits that I'm sort of doing in rotation right now, and I'm only going to have time for 5 of them, but like I know what those 8 are.
Right.
I kind of go in the opposite direction where I'm like, I don't want to have a pre-show ritual, because then the second you get in a position where you can't do that ritual,
right,
are you like, well, now you can't do stand up, and it's like all you have to do is go out there and say words, like that's
I like that.
So yeah, I've been a little bit like, I've been very hesitant to really set a like pattern of this has to be the thing.
I like that. I honestly didn't even think about that question until I was like literally last week talking to like these musicians that had very like strict pre-show rituals, and I was like, what the fuck? So it really just made me start thinking about it. I was like, should I be? And that's why you're just the second person I've asked, like, should we be?
And maybe I should, because maybe I would be more consistent. I think I'm good at stand-up, but like certainly there, you know, I could absolutely be more consistent, and like maybe that would help. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I remember, so I feel like this was pre-pandemic. I was taking like a comedy class, and you were like the speaker for like, it was like,
was it at New York
Comedy Club? Yeah. And you were talking
funny.
about you were talking about like, I think it was like the NBC.
Right. Was it Writing on the Tonight Show, or was it the Late Night Writers Workshop?
It was the Late Night Writers Workshop, and then you had just started writing on the Tonight Show, and you were like just talking about how it was like really busy.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of all I remember, like, because it was like pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you've done so much, like you've accumulated so much experience writing on the Tonight Show, Comedy Central. And now sorry, I don't know why I'm saying sorry. It's my own podcast. I'm like, whoa. Okay, Natalie.
Swearing is a sin.
On your own show. Okay. Acting in a series with Michael Cera and the Edinburgh Fringe Show. I mean, what has this been like? Like, what's going on?
It's been great and weird and amazing and hard. I feel like I'm so many of our peers, so many people who I am like very close with and very much compare myself to, or very much like think of myself as in the same category with, everybody, all of my friends have like just sort of gone straight on the stand-up track.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold a feature script, and like, who knows if that movie will ever get made, but it meant that I got to write a movie, and somebody paid me to write a movie. And did the Soderbergh miniseries, which was Michael Cera was in. And it's weird, and I don't mean to be like complaining about amazing things. It's not complaining, but it has been a weird adjustment to be like, oh yeah, all of those things. Stand up is like the thing that I've measured myself against forever, and the thing that all my friends are still measuring themselves against. And B, it is like the most immediately visible thing in the industry. And so to be like, I sold a movie script is like, I think a lot of stand-ups would love to sell a movie script, but I can't, but I don't have anything to show. Like, it's just quiet, you know, somebody just has it in a computer, and I can't be like, here's my deadline article, you know.
But you have like a paycheck.
I have a paycheck. Yes, totally. No. So
I know what you mean.
That's where it's like, I don't mean to, I'm not complaining at all. I'm amazed. Like, if I could tell myself 2.5 years ago where I would be right now, what I would have done in the last 2 years, I would be truly, I don't even think I would be amazed. I think I would be like, oh, you just have the wrong girl. Like, you got me mixed up with somebody else.
Right, yeah.
That's not what I am about to go on to do. I'd be like, I get it. We all make mistakes. It's not me. But her birthmark's on the other side. I'm really, really thrilled with what the last 2 years have been. But it's just been weird, like, where I've started to sort of like go off and do other non-stand-up things. And so right now, actually, now that I'm back from Edinburgh, I'm really like back into the like real saddle of stand-up pure.
Right. What so you feel like life just kind of took you in these directions away from stand-up, and you didn't even really like do that intentionally?
100%.
Yeah.
Truly fell ass backwards into all of, other than Edinburgh. Edinburgh is the one thing that I've sort of like always loosely been like, oh, that would be a thing that I would be interested in.
Right.
I don't have any background in screenwriting. I don't have, I have a long history of acting, but haven't been like auditioning for film acting and stuff.
So recently, how did the miniseries come about?
The miniseries was, do you know who Emily Flake is? She's a New Yorker cartoonist, super, super funny New Yorker cartoonist. Mm-hmm. And she runs a really amazing women in comedy writers retreat, women and non-binary people out in rural Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I was in like the inaugural class 2.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And you literally just like drive 5 hours into the middle of Pennsylvania and live at this house for a month, and it's awesome and lovely and wonderful. And I made a couple of really close friends there, and she got staffed in the miniseries writers room, and then they asked for Rex, and she passed my name along.
Oh, cool.
I know she passed a few names along, and they decided to hire me, and then I was like, I'd be interested in auditioning for anything. And I was expecting like a little bit part, little day player. And they were like, would you like to audition for one of the leads? And I was like, yeah.
You're like, oh,
sure.
Don't mind if I do.
Yeah, don't mind if I do. So that's how, yeah. But it's like truly, I'm always like, okay, I should just say yes to everything because you just don't know. Like I honestly, right before going to the writer's retreat, like a couple days before, I was like, I do not want to be out of New York for this long.
Right.
I don't want to go to this fucking retreat. And it wound up being like, not only that it gave me this huge career opportunity later, but like the second I got to the house, I was like, oh no, I love this. I love this place. I love being here. I love being away from the city. I love everything. But it's the kind of, like, I just had no way of predicting all of the dominoes that would fall.
For so many comedians, I can imagine that like being so scary, like, oh my God, a month away from stage time, like. But it's really like you need to take a month away from stage time to write what you're going to talk about on stage and like to form those
And I actually didn't even take a full month away from. I took like 2.5 weeks away from stage time max.
What did you do?
I had some shows booked in the middle that I was like, I can drop them or I can and whatever. I can't remember what it was. I had something in the middle of the month so I like went back to the city and then went back to the house. And truly this like. When I got there, I was like, oh, damn, I'm already committed to go back to the city, except I really would just rather.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Stay at the house.
That's really cool. That makes me want to do something like that, especially since I really struggle with friendship. Like I just don't. I really wonder why. I'm like, is it my fault that I don't really have any close friendships in comedy? Like, is it comedy's fault?
Part of it, do you still live in New Jersey?
Yeah.
Part of that, I feel like actually geography like can be limiting. And I don't mean like move out of New Jersey, but like me and I used to live with Caitlin Palufo and Steve Rogers, and we lived in Brooklyn all together. The three of us, and then my ex. There were two couples, and when we all moved apart, they moved to Astoria.
Wait, now they live with another couple. Right, in the same building.
They live in the same building as
I'm
Joe
like,
List
wait a
and
minute.
Sarah Tillamosh.
Hold on. Yeah.
And Ronan Hirschberg, and then the two of them.
They are so good at like little.
I know, it's this funny little nest.
Wow, they are good at having fun communities.
Yeah, truly.
Wow.
But like I bike everywhere, and Astoria is a 25-minute bike ride. I mean, it's a short bike ride.
A lot of comedians there.
A ton of comedians there, and I never see them. Not because I don't love them, and not because I don't miss them, and not because it wouldn't be very easy to get to, but it's just like, but it's Astoria, and I live in Brooklyn.
Right.
I live in Bushwick. That's gonna be tough.
Right.
And it's like, no, it's not. But it just mentally, I feel like that is like I don't know. Don't beat yourself up too much.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to like actually like make plans to see people. I see people at the stand like all the time.
Yeah.
Those are like the people I hang out with. But then you're like, do I see them? Do I see any of these people outside of comedy? Like,
oh yeah, but I don't think does anybody see any comedians outside of comedy?
Yeah, but I feel like that's what makes it like a real friendship.
Sure. To
be like, is this situational? And I don't know. I feel kind of like, I guess when I'm like journal, because I've been doing the artist way.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it so much. And I'm like on week 6, I love it. And I think that's the one thing that I find myself journaling about with like the task. Like I think the friendship area of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, a month with like female comedians.
Yeah,
like,
you should submit to it.
I could make friends. Like, but also I'm like, maybe I don't want to. Maybe that's not like somewhere subconsciously not where my priorities are or something. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Do you like meet people and then go, oh, it would be fun if we had brunch, and then just never like follow up on that instinct? Or also it doesn't have to be brunch or whatever, like
it's just like awkward. Like I don't drink, so I feel like that's weird. And then it's like, oh, like there are people like that have like done my podcast. We have like an awesome conversation. At the end we'll like exchange numbers, and I'll be like, oh my God, we should totally hang out sometime. And then it's like, what am I gonna like? I don't.
But I feel like, then it's like you can just text them and be like, hey.
And say I'll book them on my show, and then I'll be like, hey,
and do you want to be friends with me? That's funny.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally. But I guess to me, like, I do know exactly what you mean. I also Well, I think I'm sort of in the opposite direction. My problem is that I'm too far in the opposite direction.
You have too many friends.
Sorry, I just have too many friends.
Wow.
Well, I like actively will be like, I actively reach out to people. I use here's what the problem is.
Okay.
My problem is that I use socialization as a form of procrastination and avoidance.
Okay.
That's so like when I have things to do in my actual life, I'm like, yeah, but like I promised this person that we'd have lunch and I can't bail on those plans.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't like, I'm not saying like I use my friends, but I love those relationships, but I know that is
right.
Basically it's like, I am very willing to text somebody and be like, hey, do you want to have lunch? Do you want to have coffee? Do you want to have brunch? Do you want to whatever?
But, like,
Can I leave the house? I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. I don't want to have to sit here and think about all of the things that I'm not doing that I should be doing that I'm failing at in life. So come have a pupusa with me.
Say you don't know someone though. Like say like you don't really know them and
Perfect.
like you text them. You're like, hey, like, would you want to hang out? Don't you? I feel like I imagine them getting the text and being like, what the fuck? Like, ew, Natalie just asked me if I want to get lunch with her. What a fucking, that's so random and weird. Like that's what I
such
picture.
A funny view into your brain. That's such a funny, like, oh, that is you talking to yourself. That is not them.
That is literally, that's what I picture. So I'm like, I'm not gonna.
Like, that's your own brain being mean to you.
I know, yeah, for sure. But that's a totally like,
if somebody texted you, if one of those people, picture one of the people who you're like, I would like to, if they texted you and said, hey, do you want to get brunch? Would you be like, ew, what the fuck? Why are you fucking texting me, you gross pig? Get the fuck away. Would you think that?
No, but also no one ever does that. So I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem like a normal like thing.
You should just, the next time, you should have like 5. Here's what I would do if I were you.
Yeah.
I would have 5 people that I wanted to get brunch with.
Yeah.
And one, like, what day is your show?
Thursday.
One Thursday.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I'm coming into the city, and you don't have to have a thing actually, but like, I'm coming into the city early on Thursday before my show, and then I'm going to have 4 hours to kill.
Yeah.
Between, 3 to 7 or whatever. You around, and
Solid.
do you want to hang?
Solid. I really should make friends.
And then if you ask, like, just go down the list, and then if 5 people are like, no, sorry, we can't, then who cares, whatever, like, then you don't.
This is literally this is good advice. This is solid.
It's fun to be able to give good advice that's literally just why don't you text to people and say, would you like to have coffee?
I've texted someone being like, hey, you around for coffee next week? Would love to hang out. And they're like, I can't next week, maybe another time. I'm like, knew it.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying, like, if you frame it as like you give a specific time, and also you don't frame it, this is, and I'm honestly saying this more for you than for them. Yeah. But if you're framing it not as like, hey, do you want to spend time with me and see if we could develop a platonic relationship?
Right.
If you're framing it as like, I'm going to have these 4 hours to kill anyway.
Right. Like you're like you're like kind of a convenience
thing. Yeah, whatever. And then it's like, I think it lowers the stakes for everybody.
Right.
Right.
Totally.
The problem is for you right now, the stakes are too high.
They are.
For a thing that's incredibly low stakes. That's truly the lowest of stakes. That's truly like, oh, I could run into you on the sidewalk and be like, oh yeah, do you want to step in? Like, I got 45 minutes before I have to be at this show.
Phew. Great.
My rules in relationships, a few rules that I developed for myself in romance are round down and lower the stakes, and then a theory that I call crush goggles. The 3. So lower this, but like I feel like applies.
So what are the 3? What is round down?
Round down, lower the stakes, and crush goggles. So I'm trying to see now if it applies to platonic friendships as well. So lower the stakes is just like, it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. Nothing's gonna explode in either direction. It's not life. Yeah, it's like so far from life or death. Although people with fewer friends tend to live shorter lives. Anyway, so,
What?
I don't know. I made that up. It sounds believable, doesn't it?
It's so good.
People who sit in a windowless basement and think about how all their friends think, all of their acquaintances think they're gross for asking them for coffee tend to live shorter lives. Okay, round down is whatever, how, like, if I think somebody's maybe interested in me, I round down to whatever, just like the next notch down of their interest in me. So like if I'm like, this person has a crush on me, the lesson is round down. Just this is a way of lowering the stakes and like making it a little safer.
Okay.
Round down to like, I bet they like generally think I'm interesting. Like I bet they like feel some kind of chemistry.
Wait, so why do we do this? Because we don't think.
Because I think being like, that person definitely is into me is just sort of setting yourself up for failure, setting yourself up for disappointment if anything ever moves forward, and then they don't feel as strongly about you as you wanted them to. And like if you're like, oh, I think we have chemistry, round down to just like, they have noticed that I am a cute person before. Right? Like it's just like it's a way of like just lower the expectations, be a little safer, be a little like, don't get too, I think it's also partially me being like, don't get cocky.
Right.
Okay, so that's round down, that's lower. And so I'm trying to think for friendship. I guess the round down, it kind of would work in the opposite direction where it's like, don't worry, they don't
care.
They don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going, ew.
Right. They're just like, eh.
They're like, oh,
maybe.
And then they get an email.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's happening on their end.
I know. I really just imagine people are like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. I really picture like.
I ghost people on text all the time. And it's literally just because I'm like, oh, I don't know. An eBay auction notified me that it was ending, and I changed the app, and then I forgot to text you back. You know?
Oh my God. I got like so this will come out after the announcement anyway, but like I got comics to watch for New York Comedy Festival.
Hell yeah.
But
congrats.
So they put it in two different sections, this like repped and unrepped.
Yeah. And
they sent me the email saying that I was in the unrepped section. Like they were like, congrats, you got comics to watch unrepped. And I'm like, they meant to say repped, like it was just like a whoops. And I'm like, oh, did everyone drop me? Like I literally had a meltdown. I like called my manager like 3 times. I'm like, why does it say unrepped?
That's funny. And
he's like, it was like a mistake. Like obviously nothing happened. Like
round down. Lower the stakes.
He's like, what's wrong? Why would everyone have dropped you?
That's funny.
I'm like, okay.
That's funny.
I'm like, okay. He's like, what's wrong with you?
When do you feel calm?
I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It took me like 3 hours to be like, okay, we're good. We're fine.
Wow. Well,
then I'm like, I guess like 3 hours later, I'm like, okay, I guess it would be normal to think that was just a typo. That was fine.
This is making me ask so many questions in my head about your childhood, about how you were raised, about the environment that you grew up in, whether it was perhaps a high cortisol environment at all times.
You know what it was. It really was. It was.
Yeah, whether perhaps there was a fight or flight reaction at all times.
There was.
Danger around every corner.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Somebody literally like copied and pasted an Excel cell wrong.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like,
it's just that.
He's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, okay, you're right. We're good. All is well.
You're like, well, many things. A lot is wrong with me.
What's wrong? A lot's wrong, but we're good. We're repped still.
Yep. We're repped still.
No biggie. Okay. Anyway. All right. So, okay. You had a show and
you're still coming back from this. You're still coming down.
It was yesterday. I literally spent 3 hours being like, when's he going to text me back?
And do you, where are you at now?
We're good, obviously. Yeah, I was just really
not obviously. I would say that we're good is not obvious. That's not a given at this point.
I don't know why. I just have like this weird, I think my fight or flight response is just too here. I need to like, I just get triggered so easily, and it's hard for me to like see it from an outside perspective.
Sure. And
be like, okay, dude, it's just like you do this thing. Like I just need to be like, hey, you do this. You respond easily to things. You respond with your emotions first. Just like chill, and you gotta wait.
Do you feel like you give good advice to people in sticky situations?
I do give good advice. I just can't my emotions just take over everything. Yeah.
Like, can you like write the story of what's happening in to somebody else? You know?
I should. That's good. Third person, like Pretend it was happening to someone else. I think the thing is, like, when it's happening to me, I don't even register that it's an extreme situation and that I'm being insane. I'm just like, I don't realize that, like, I'm being an overreacting psychopath. I'm just like, yeah, this is a crazy situation that's happening to me right now. I don't even think that I'm being the crazy one.
Interesting.
But I guess that's like any mental illness.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm trying to think of, I feel like a progress that I've made is that I've gotten better at like knowing something's happening while it's happening.
Right.
I can't necessarily stop it.
Yeah.
But I'll just have like if I like get into binge eating, I have a note right now that's just titled binge notes, and I just like will write down what's happening. So I like one recent, like I was like, oh, I noticed that it's just about the like it's about like it's just like that's a stress reaction for me is binge eating.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, it's about like stuffing my mouth, and it's not about the taste at all. It's not about the food at all. In which case I was like, well, at that point, like, could I binge on popcorn instead of like, I think I binged on like, what the carne asada. I just like had in my fridge. It was just like plowing
popcorn is a really
Mexican
good binge food.
Steak into my mouth. And it's like, stop that. Radcliffe, what the fuck is happening? And instead it's like, okay, so just if it's about like, before the final step is like not actually binging, but through then, like, yeah. How about you binge on popcorn first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonder what the equivalent is for me.
You know, like, but like, so it's just was helpful to like have a notes and be like, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
That feels so much easier than stopping. That feels right. Rather than being like, change, don't ever binge again. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you fucking want me to do that?
Yeah. But I just have to tone it down a level.
Just that question of like, what's happening right now? Describe.
Right. Journal it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so your show, Cheat, at Edinburgh Fringe. Yes. What was it about?
I have a history of cheating in almost every relationship that I've ever been in.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Love that.
Good to hang.
So you kind of explored that through your show?
Yeah. So the show is about like, for me trying to answer the question of why that is my maladaptive coping mechanism, why is that my pattern in relationships? And I want to be clear, I don't condone cheating. I think cheating is always bad. I think it always hurts somebody. Even if somebody doesn't find out, like I used to think that like, oh, the people who didn't, because I only got found out once. And so where I was like, oh, the people who didn't find out, it was a victimless crime. And then I look back and I'm like, oh no, I definitely I withdrew in that relationship in a way that's
right
at best confusing and unfair and at worst cruel. So like it's never good.
Right.
This isn't everybody should try it. But I do think that it happens all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about, we hear a lot about people getting cheated on, but we hear nobody talk about actually doing the cheating.
It's true.
And to me, it's like in the same thing with substance abuse. If we wanted something like this to stop, we would want people to talk about it. And so I'm like, well, I'll talk about it. And every time I started talking about it in stand-up a few years ago, like 4 years ago, and every single time after I talked about it, somebody would come up to me and lean in close and be like, that really spoke to me. And I was like, I got you, buddy. Okay, I see you. And melt away into the night. So I think that so many people struggle with desire and where to draw the line and what is okay and what is not and what is hurtful and what is not and what do you talk about and what do you keep secret in their own ways. And I just think it's much better to at least talk about it.
Definitely.
That's my little soapbox about.
You know what I find?
I'm not 100% evil.
I like that during the run of the show about how you've cheated, you found love.
I fell in love. I know.
How did that happen? Was he like? Does he feel like you're gonna cheat?
I mean, I have no idea.
Or is he's like, you're so vulnerable that I trust you.
I'm sure he has some kind of healthy suspicion. And he saw my show before we started dating, before we got involved at the Fringe Festival. So can't say I didn't warn you. But he's gonna watch this podcast for sure. No, I think that basically it's I just also I am in a very different place in my like knowledge of who I am, way I approach romantic relationships, what I understand I need, what I understand that I don't need, but that I like, that presses the little dopamine button, you know, more drugs, please. It's part of it is truly just like, I don't know, I'm older and I know myself better. And so like, I don't want to cheat. I don't want to keep doing this thing. I don't want to keep doing this thing that's like, that's, if like it's hurtful to other people and it feels icky. And also, if for no other reason, it's like, what am I gonna tell my friends, like, guess what happened again? Like, I have said guess what happened again so many times in my life that if it happens again now, my friends are gonna be like, you fucking asshole. Like, I think I used my last guess what happened again a couple times ago, you know.
What do you think, like, say you felt the urge to cheat again, like, what do you think, like, what would be your popcorn?
My hope is that I am in a relationship, and I don't want to make this specific to the person I'm dating now, just like broadly. My hope is that ultimately I can be in a relationship where I can say, like, hey, I'm feeling these weird feelings. And also, I think even saying that is, or not weird feelings, very familiar feelings, incredibly normal feelings, incredibly comfortable feelings. I think that my, even like saying that is, there's no simple answer. There's no easy way. Because I think people are like, well, just talk to your partner about it. And it's like, yeah, but there's always complicating factors. There's always a reason. When you ask somebody to explain the situation always makes sense why they kept a secret or why they didn't talk to somebody or why they were uncomfortable or why whatever.
Right.
And like, maybe there's an emotional overreaction, but also oftentimes it's like, oh yeah, you're right. You were like, there's a reason why you minimized this situation, or there's a reason why, you know, we can say on principle, let's talk about our feelings, but then like it's harder in this actual specific context. But I think that like monogamy is equally as hard. We're just more conditioned to accept it and to think that direction. Yeah. And I'm pretty clear in the show. I'm not like, everybody should be poly. I broadly dislike poly people.
Yeah. I watched that joke. I like it.
Yeah. Broadly, I think poly people are mostly unfuckable. So I don't mean that to say like, humans aren't built for monogamy. I think probably humans are not built for monogamy, but it's that like in monogamy, still nothing is easy. Still nothing is straightforward. The like easy, straightforward answer of like, just don't do it. Just don't flirt with that person because you're in a relationship. That's not easy. That's complicated. If you drilled down in that specific situation and are like, why did you want to flirt with that person and why didn't you? Why did you do up to this line, but then you didn't cross that, you know, XYZ line. You were willing to touch their elbow, but you weren't willing to touch the small of their back, whatever it is. Or you were willing to touch the small of their back, but then you weren't willing to walk down the hall, just the two of you, whatever the fuck. We all draw our own lines, right? It's just that that's the realm that we're like, that's normal and good. And so we're like used to that. That doesn't sound complicated. That sounds accepted.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's basically like where you draw your boundary.
And I just think, to me, I think there's no clean answer. I don't think there's any clean answer. I don't think there ever will be a clean answer. I don't think that monogamy is a clean answer. I don't think poly is a clean answer. I don't think just be super communicative is a clean answer. I don't think, it's just us except when we're in a different zip code, then we can fuck around. There's no clean answer. Right. It's all messy. It's all difficult. It all requires so much fucking admin in your relationship.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, now we have to talk about this.
What do you think is the main thing that after your show people would come up to you and be like, I really relate to this. Like, thank you for saying this.
The one that people are the loudest about is the poly stuff. I have this whole section about, so I have some of the jokes up on Instagram and then it goes a little bit deeper into it in the show about being like, I'm not advocating for polyamory. Poly people mostly suck. That's the one that people come up and are like, loved the poly stuff. Yeah, for sure.
I like that you're like, poly people are too busy scheduling to have sex.
Yeah.
And like how do they have time to, oh my God, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but this was so crazy. So Dan like runs a lot near our apartment, and he was running past this place, and he saw like there was a car accident and that like 3 people died. And like he, for some reason, went on this deep Instagram hole, and he found that one of the guys died. And I don't know why I'm talking about this, but he was a 26-year-old guy. He finds the guy's Instagram. It says 26-year-old guy. He finds, and he's dead. He's just like a nice, normal guy. He finds his girlfriend's Instagram. The girlfriend has 2 boyfriends that, including him, that she posts
now she
about.
has one boyfriend.
Yeah. Now she posts about she's been with the dead one for 7 years, the other one for 4 years. Their birthdays are 3 days apart. And she's just posting like, happy birthday to my love. Like we've been together for 3 years. Happy birthday. And then like 4 days later, happy birthday to my love. We've been together 7 years. Happy birthday.
Crazy.
Is that crazy? And I'm just thinking, like, how did she
the crazy
have
thing
time
is not that he is dead.
Him?
Yeah.
He was like, you wouldn't believe the Instagram hole I went down. I'm like, tell me.
Yeah, that's nuts.
But that is like really crazy.
I mean, yeah, right. And putting aside the fact that a young man has died, and that's incredibly sad.
Yes, we're really sad, and we're grieving his loss.
The setup. Even if he was still alive, this would be as crazy. Yeah,
the whole story is
the whole story is truly unhinged. I don't know.
Imagine the guy that's been with her for 3 years, and now the 7-year guy is dead, and he's probably like, whoa. I mean,
he was probably always secondary. I mean, it's the whole world.
Yeah,
is at best it is your job, is what it seems to me.
It is, yeah,
and like. I think that it works for a lot of people where like that is the exciting thing in their life. And I say that as somebody for whom like sex and dating has been for many years the exciting thing in my life.
Same, yeah.
In a different way. Like, so I totally get it being like, this is where I'm getting my buzz.
I've never felt like I could have time for 2 partners. That would literally be insane to me.
It's so much. I mean, as a person who's cheated, it takes up your whole life. It's so all consuming.
Yeah, it's just, I can't imagine giving to, yeah.
Yeah, really wild.
Yeah. But what would you say is the best advice you ever received?
Best advice I ever received. I competed in speech and debate for 10 years as a middle school all the way through college. Mm-hmm. It was my whole life. I was a little dweeb. Still am. And I was right before like a big final round where it was like I had made it through the tournament and was like going into it was like, it's like, okay, you're in finals.
Okay.
I was in the bathroom and was like leaning into the mirror to pop a zit on my forehead. And a coach from some other team was like, don't pop a zit before a final round. And that has stuck with me forever. And I truly was 19, but it like represented it. I think what it represents is like, hey, dipshit, is this thing about to like, it's like, I'm going to pop a zit and then it's going to be red in the middle of my face in this final round.
Yeah.
When it's like, and that's not going to impede my performance, but it is like, here's a stupid thing that you don't have to do. You could just not.
Yeah.
Just don't pop it.
Gonna get the fingernail mark.
Yeah, exactly. Don't
focus on the negative before something. Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually the thing that sticks with me forever. Don't pop it before our final round. Just don't do it.
Wow.
But I think probably the actual best like useful advice is my dad has talked about in any negotiation. The most powerful position in any negotiation is the absolute willingness to be able to walk away at any moment, like until the pen is touching the paper on the contract. If something is not right, you can go.
Interesting.
Which is sort of the opposite of the sunk cost fallacy, right? It's like, I think he takes it too far. I think I've taken it too far. I'm very like, I can walk away. I can go. I don't need you.
Hey, you sold the movie, so fine. Obviously.
I'm fine. But like, yeah, that it's like, it doesn't matter how deep into a situation you are. If it is bad, you can walk.
I like that. That applies to like everything, I feel.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I like it. The zit one and the walk away.
Those are nice.
Interesting. Wow. You're from Minnesota, right?
I grew up in Minnesota. My dad's from the East Coast.
Okay.
And my family's all in Manhattan. My dad's family's all in Manhattan. And my mom's family was from Minnesota originally.
Okay.
And now it's just my mom.
What is Minnesota like?
It is, I love it. I love Minnesota so much. It's, I mean, the like superficial element is like, it's cold. It's really harsh winters. It's very Scandinavian. It's very Midwestern. It's very, it's very outdoorsy. It's beautiful. It's so like lush green in the summers, beautiful, like frosty, icy white in the winters.
Mm-hmm.
It's very repressed. It's very passive aggressive. It's very like outwardly nice, but not necessarily actually friendly. Which is, I think that's all the Scandinavian stuff. That's all like, just shove it into a jar. It's too cold to yell.
What do you see as like your next goal, like that you want to work towards in comedy?
I am honestly I'm sort of figuring out what direction. So right now I feel like I have a lot of background in stand-up and I have a lot of background, or I'm building a decent amount of background in screenwriting, both short and long, movies and shorter than that. And also I don't want to say this as like, I'm a movie writer. I just mean like I've had some modicum of success in that direction. And so I'm really trying to figure out right now, like, where do I put the gas behind? And is there a way to put the gas behind both? Because for the last, I have not yet figured out how to put the gas behind both.
Right.
And so I'm trying to figure out if I can.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Do you want to pull a tarot card?
Yes.
Okay. Should we pull like a past, present, future deal?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to shuffle the cards?
Sure. My parents are hippies. And,
really?
And like hippies. Like,
really? Do they like tarot cards?
I like grew up getting my tarot read as a child.
That's so fun.
Like I have like little mini cassette tape recordings of me getting my tarot read.
No way.
When I was like 7. Which,
oh my
what
God.
are you asking about at tarot when you're 7? I have no idea.
Do you remember what you asked about?
No, but I'm going home in a week and I should ask. I'm sure my mom has those recordings.
That's so fun.
I should ask her what I asked Christopher, our family psychic. Some people go to like family therapists.
What's your astrological sign?
Scorpio.
Okay, fun.
And I'm everything Scorpio. I'm not everything, but I'm Sun Scorpio, Moon Scorpio,
wow, Venus
Scorpio, and one other.
My Venus is Scorpio too.
Yeah.
Venus and Scorpio is fun. It's like
mega.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. First time we've done this on the podcast. All right. This will be the past. Oh, 2 of Cups. We've got some love. Mother of Pentacles. Okay. It's like a mom figure with like a lot of material stuff. And then the future, we've got like a guy who is, he's kind of like a white knight. Interesting. Okay. All right. Okay.
Stuart.
Interesting. He can be really great, but like you also have to make sure you.
Oh, no.
Honestly, I pulled this card a lot, so he could be a really good guy. We have to. We're gonna read. We're gonna read We're gonna read everything from the book.
Okay.
Okay. This is big for the podcast. We're expanding our tarot segment.
Great.
Okay. The 2 of Cups, obvious. It's love. It's wonderful. That makes sense. That's what you were just spending a month in England.
Yes.
With your new romance. Say hello to this much adored 2 of Cups. When this card appears, you can anticipate new love, and it usually means romance, sometimes the birth of a dear and lasting friendship. Either way, the connection between will be pure, honest, and solid.
Okay.
Sounds valid.
Okay. That's in my past.
But that was like
pure,
the last
honest,
month.
and solid. Yeah.
That was like you spent the last few months
in
right?
London. Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Right now we have the Mother of Pentacles, domestic, loving, and patient. This is like an actual person or you. Mother of Pentacles, excels in the home. She knows exactly what to do while raising a family and tending to the tasks of daily life. It's potential for her identity to become wrapped entirely around her children and home, which leaves her needy and attached. This is the cause of most of her turmoil. She often has qualities of a healer and is very connected to nature.
Interesting.
Is this
I did just spend the last couple of days. I moved right before I left for Edinburgh, I moved, and I just like, and I'm very like, my house matters to me. My like feeling like my apartment is my place matters to me.
Yeah.
And honestly, being gone for 2 months is part of what kind of messed me up. Like, the transience of not being in my own place for a long time felt really disruptive.
Like throws you off. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just spent the last couple days like putting art up in my apartment, in my new apartment, and like sorting around like this little side table goes here and this little side table goes here and that kind of
like
stuff.
Nesting.
Yeah,
I like that. That's kind of that.
Okay.
I like that. All right. And then got the Son of Wands. Let's see. He's charming and adventurous. It's a snake. He's a true charmer. He's handsome, adventurous. He seems to say all the right things. Some call him the White Knight of the Tarot. At some point, you may find he becomes hard to know. Trust your instinct with this one. Perfection is an illusion.
Wow. That feels like that's me.
Yeah, that could be you.
That feels like that's not.
It could be you. Else. It could be you. You're handsome, adventurous.
Read that. Yeah, read this one again.
Okay, the Son of Wands is a true charmer. He's handsome, adventurous. He says all the right things.
Yes, yes.
Some call him the White Knight of the Tarot. But at some point, you may find he becomes hard to know. Trust your instinct with this one. Perfection is an illusion.
I really feel like this is...
You're the Son of Wands.
Yeah, hard to know. Perfection is an illusion.
I like that. That's actually a nice reading. Got a little love that forms, some homemaking, and then like, you're shining and everyone's like, wow. And you're
exciting.
Like, watch out, it could be an illusion.
Yeah.
That's fun. It's a nice reading. All right, Chloe, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, where can people find you?
I am at Chloe Radcliffe on all platforms, like my last name Radcliffe, but bad.
Yes. Since this is coming out near Halloween, I have to say, this month I've been addicted to pumpkin carving.
Really?
Like, I guess, you know how the Artist Way says to do like artist dates?
Sure.
So I've been like carving pumpkins.
Addicted to pumpkin carving. Pumpkin carving is such a funny thing to get addicted to. I've been addicted to pumpkin carving. I can't stop. It's 11:30 at night and I don't care. I'm still going at it with the pumpkins. They can't. I can quit anytime. It's just let me get one more pumpkin carving.
It's crazy. I've done 4 this year. That's a lot.
But in what amount of time?
I'd say in 9 days.
Oh, that's too many.
That's too many.
Yeah, that is an addiction.
It's, you know what it is? It's
I gotta go to rehab for pumpkin carving. I'm
not even baking the seeds, man.
You get in there, then it's no knives, no spoons
just
either.
Using my teeth.
They're not worried about me hurting myself. They're worried about me hurting the pumpkin.
Forks
only in the pumpkin carving rehab.
Yeah, I find myself like Dan and I he's like, you didn't even walk the dog, you just went out and you bought a pumpkin.
Wow, is it like a compulsion?
I love pumpkin. I like went and I bought a pumpkin. I was like, you know what? I'm feeling really creative. I need to go. I need to buy a pumpkin. And
what did you carve it into?
I carved that one into that one was just a classic jack-o'-lantern.
Okay. What else have you done?
Okay, I've done a pumpkin eating a little pumpkin.
Okay. Like one of the little decorative gourds?
No, like a little tiny pumpkin. I carved the little tiny. So I guess I've carved 5. I did a pumpkin eating a little tiny pumpkin that I carved.
Okay.
I did a jack-o'-lantern.
Okay.
I did a pumpkin house with a little pumpkin inside.
Okay. I'm still with you.
And then I carved like my next road date into a pumpkin as like promo.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You should have led with that one. That one is the least crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
None of these are crazy.
No, it's the
amount.
Yeah, it's fun. Honestly, we'll cut this part.
That is what we say. No, this is clip this. That it's fun is what everybody says about an addiction. It's always fun. It's always fun until it becomes pretty soon you're getting you don't even feel one pumpkin. You're buying 3 pumpkins at a time. You just gotta stay up, man. It's just normal. Now carving is just I don't get happy from carving the pumpkins anymore. I have to carve them to stop
bigger and
from
bigger.
being sad.
Here's the thing. I don't even need a towel underneath anymore. I could do no mess.
Wow.
I was going to be done, but the thing is I've already bought tickets to go to a really nice patch on
Yeah, and then I'll quit after the patch.
I'll quit after the patch.
I got
after October.
It's fine. No.
Done.
Just one more, and then I'm done forever. Then I'm calling it. Then I'm going cold turkey, cold pumpkin, cold turkey until I'm carving
turkey for November.
in Thanksgiving. Then I gotta keep carving, man. Don't let me stop carving.
No, I think it's not that crazy.
That's a lovely sentence to have to defend yourself with.
I brought one to the stand. We like made one, but we were like going out of town. I was like, I can't waste this. So I put it in the car. I drove it to the stand. They put it out front. Because you can't just like leave it.
You could put it like on a building, like your building stoop or something.
My apartment doesn't like have a stoop. And then putting outside is just like
And did the stand take
trash. They were, it looked nice. But they put a little candle in it.
Great.
It was really nice.
Great. That's great. And they just don't let them know how many other pumpkins you have.
How many other pumpkins there are. Yeah. I gave one to Dan's parents. And then the other two are sitting inside.
I mean, I think this is like this is worthy of like a True Life episode. You
really?
know? True Life, I Can't Stop
4
Carving.
pumpkins?
Not 4, but you got tickets to the patch.
I do.
And we got a couple days between now and the patch.
I'm not going to do anything between now and the patch. That's, yeah.
Famous last words.
I got to carve my own friends.
No, I'm fine. I'm not going to do anything. No. I'm going to take a couple days off from pumpkin carving.
You should, yeah.
No carve October.
No carve November.
Yeah, no carve November.
I think after this, I could get into sculpting. No one would think that was weird.
Yeah, for sure. One of the real arts.
Yeah, this was just kind of making my way into it.
Describe to me the feeling of like making the first cut into that fresh pumpkin.
It's not really about like the cut into the pumpkin. It's kind of like, I think when you're carving a pumpkin, your mind is empty. You're just not thinking about
like
anything. Yeah, exactly. You're
like, emptying out all of these seeds represent your thoughts, all of the negative, all the bad tape that you say about yourself. All the bad
self-talk.
Put it in the garbage.
Well, it's just like you're not even thinking. You're just focused on what you're doing, which I really like. It's just kind of like a time where you're not thinking about anything.
Sure.
It's like playing a video game, except you're not staring at a screen.
Yes.
It's like, I'm not thinking. I'm just making something.
In reality, I'm giving you a hard time. I mean, honestly, carving a pumpkin is
it's not that crazy.
It's pretty crazy, but it's a very, no, I'm not letting you off the hook on the crazy thing, but it's a very like harmless, not only to others, but also to yourself. Yeah. Like if there's going to be a thing that you're going to like,
right.
Right.
Totally.
Like glaze over.
Is that your only vice? So
totally.
Right.
Totally.
I mean, and they're not really expensive. What, you're spending $9 to $15?
Yeah. Depending on how big, depending on how nice.
Yeah.
You got to knock on the pumpkin to see how much shit there is inside of it.
See how round.
Yeah.
The thing is, yeah, I just feel like you're not really thinking about anything at the end. It's so fun. You put a candle in, you turn the light off. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah. Do you ever just sit in a dark room surrounded by all of your friends? These are your friends. The pumpkins are your real friends.
Yeah. No, I haven't done that yet.
Wow. If you started carving the faces of the people who you haven't asked to coffee into these pumpkins and surround yourself with them and be like, I don't even need to go to coffee because I have my real friends right here.
They all like me. Oh, no.
No, it's not crazy. It's great. It's really good.
Honestly, the thing is, if it was a more respected art form.
This is good. I like getting defensive. This is good. Keep going.
I think what we're going to do is November is going to be the time maybe we take a pottery class.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I blame the artist way. It really tells you to try to be creative, to try to take artist dates.
Yeah.
And it says,
it should in there say, this applies to everything except pumpkin carving.
Yeah, for real.
We don't mean pumpkins, you sick fucks. We mean a real art.
There is this guy on YouTube, and he is like crazy. He makes like pumpkin robots. He does like crazy pumpkin carving.
Sure. That, what you just said, does not help your case. I would say what you just said actually maybe actively hurts your case.
Damn it.
That there is a guy on YouTube who's really into this. Absolutely. That I do believe.
He's so good.
Totally. I 100% believe it.
I'm not as good as he is. For sure.
That you could be.
There are people that do this thing where like they carve the whole thing off and then they carve into like the white of the pumpkin. That's like another level. And
that's cool.
He makes his own tools, all this stuff.
The pith of the pumpkin.
Yeah.
I would assume is what it's called.
Oh, wow.
Well, I just know that because it's called that in citrus.
Oh.
And I make little citruses into my little friends.
Gotcha. All right, guys. I think this is a good time to end. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in November.